Just a quick warning, this video will contain spoilers regarding update 15. Because with that update, we got access to the Thargoid Maelstrom Center, where we now know there is what's called a Thargoid Titan, essentially a massive, big Thargoid, almost like station-sized, even bigger than that. And from that, there's a bunch of new materials that we can go and farm and collect that will likely be needed in the future. So therefore, I'm now doing a guide on how to effectively collect those. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Elite Dangerous. Today we're going to be talking about all the equipment you're going to need and how to farm all the new materials that you can get from the Thargoid Titans. First of all, you're going to need a fast ship. I recommend anything that could fly faster than 500 meters a second should be good, as that should allow you to escape all the Thargoids that's going to interdict you. I'm going to be using a Alliance Chieftain today, which is a pretty good ship for it. Decent amount of armor, it can take the beating, and it also can go fast enough to run. In terms of equipment here, you are going to need a beam laser, and you're going to have to engineer that with long range. Is not mandatory, but most people go long range, but thermal vent is mandatory. Do not go efficient on this, because efficient is the amount of heat that's generated that you'll be venting, so the more heat you generate, the better. As we're running around inside the Maelstrom, if we overheat too much, we're gonna get spotted by either the hunters that are running around in there, the turret that's located all over the Titan. They're gonna shoot us, we're gonna have a bad time. We need peace and quiet, and we get that by staying cold so they can't see us. Utility mounts, you're gonna need quite a few items. First of all, heatsink launcher is recommended, highly recommended. I've engineered mine, you don't necessarily have to, but I highly recommend you take a heatsink launcher, because as we're going into the center of the Thargoid Maelstrom, you're gonna be hit with these pulses. We're gonna be able to go through them now, but you're going to receive a ton of heat doing so. And again, you don't want to be hot in there for too long, because you're going to get spotted, and if you get spotted, you get killed. Then of course, we're going to need that brand new Thargoid Pulse Neutralizer that was added in update 15. You can unlock this from all the rescue ships that are located all over the bubble, and you will need the following materials. One unclassified relic, if you don't know how to collect and manufacture those. I have a separate video for that. You can find that in the description below. Then you're going to need massive energy search analysis, 5 of those. You get that by getting hit by the pulse. So if you haven't been into the Maelstrom yet, just fly in, get hit by the pulse, get pushed out, fly back in. Do that 5 times until you have those energy search analysis. Then you're going to need propulsion elements. You get that from killing scouts. Don't be a noob like me and go to surface settlements and only to realize that scouts don't drop materials at surface settlements, but only in space. Don't ask me why, but that's how the game is. So go to any system where there are Thargoid conflict zones. That would be any system that's in the invasion state. Go to a space-based Thargoid conflict zone, preferably a low-intensity one, and there'll be scouts for days, murder scouts, and they'll drop propulsion elements for you there. And finally, sensor fragments. You get those by finding Thargoid sensors, and the Thargoid sensors, you can then take those, jettison them, shoot them, then they will blow up, and there'll be Thargoid sensor fragments. You can collect those. You need 5 of those as well. That's the bill of materials, and these modules are like a buy. So you don't unlock, you go, you pay materials, you get 1. And then you need another bill of materials if you need another one. So if you're planning to make more builds for this, you're gonna need this multiple times. Other than that, we got in the last update, we got the new caustic sink. Highly recommend that you bring that as well. As again, there's going to be a ton of caustic on our way in. Once we get in there, the caustic goes away, but on our way in, we're going to be throwing through a lot of caustic, so a caustic sink is recommended, and in a similar fashion, you can get those from the rescue mega ships. Core internals, not really a lot here. You're really free to do whatever you feel like. Obviously, the thrusters, recommending dirty drive, drag drives for speed, because we need speed to get away. Other than that, do what you like. You can play around with this. This is, this is your choice. For the optional internals, there's a few modules you're gonna need in here. I recommend that you bring a cargo rack, because you're gonna be carrying some limpets. I'd put a relatively large cargo rack on. You don't need that many. If you can have like 10, 20 collector limpets, you should be fine. So this one's way overkill. You're gonna need a collector limpet controller, as you can see here, because we need that to collect the materials. None of it is cargo itself, it all goes into your materials, just like engineering materials. So you don't necessarily need the corrosive resistant cargo. I have one in, but that's because of other stuff that I use the ship for. Of the mandatory optional internals, that sounds weird, but you get my point. Mandatory optional internals. You need a limpet controller, you need a cargo rack to carry the limpets in. So, with that out of the way, your ship is ready and let's go and farm some materials. Head into the star map and find one of the systems with a Thargoid maelstrom in. You can recognize them by this broken circle icon above them. And if you ever in doubt what the icons mean, just go over, is it here? Here. And you can scroll down, you can see what all the different icons mean on the map, and you can enable and disable them as you please. Once you are in system, open up the system map, and we're going to try to figure out where the Thargoid is. Now, in this case, I can see it here. Otherwise, you might have to scan the system. But in my case, since I've been there before, it does show up. They're just going to target the planet out there, head out in that direction. It will not necessarily show up out here on your navigation panel before you are within 1,000 light seconds of it. So if you can't see it immediately, you should be able to see it as soon as you're within 1,000. But if you can't see it immediately, and you don't want to scan the system, then you can just begin to go to some of the outer planets, and when you're within 1,000, if it shows up, then you know it's there. But for now, we're just gonna head out there. We have about 3,000 light seconds to go, and hopefully it's gonna be smooth sailing. And while we fly out there, I just wanna mention that we now have the caustic content water bottles in stock at DTEA So, if you not only want to protect your ship, but also want to protect yourself from caustic, then get yourself a water bottle from DTEA. Now, if you haven't been in these maelstrom systems before, you might get interdicted by Thargoids. As you can see, I am being here. Don't worry, submit, as they are almost impossible to escape from. They're very good at interdicting. And this is where we need our speed, so I'm just gonna go and boost away. You just have a bunch of scouts here, go back into Super Cruise, and continue on our journey. And while we're flying, I just want to mention firing groups, as this is something people often ask about when I do ship build guides. I have one group where I have the new Thargoid pulse neutralizer on my main trigger, and my secondary trigger have a caustic sink. The second group, I have my collector limpet and I have my beam laser. And you'll see how I use those two groups here in a minute. And we are in. Okay. Once you're in, I recommend you turn on your night vision. It makes it slightly easier to spot the caustic generators that you're sitting in here. You'll see one of them here coming up in front of me. This actually right in front of me now. A little cross kind of icon, looks kind of like a caltrop. Try to avoid those, as they do generate a lot of caustic. Now would be a good point to talk about how the caustic sink works, as I am approaching the center of the maelstrom here. Look how my caustic sink over there on the left is slowly going up. That's because I'm actually taking caustic damage right now. And the caustic sink is absorbing that caustic damage. When that bar fills up, as you will see it will here in a minute, it won't be able to protect me anymore. And I need to launch the caustic sink and move on to the next one. So you can see here in a second it's going to fill up completely. There we go. And I now got hit by caustic. So I can launch that caustic sink. There we go. And it will now begin to protect me again, neutralizing that caustic effect that's already on my ship. Nope, and I need to avoid that one. So we should be very close now. Okay, so here it comes. I can see it charging up, begins to get blue. 4 pips to systems. Don't fire the pulse neutralizer yet. Wait for it. Wait for the pulse to start. There it is. And then you fire it. Hold it down. Hold down the trigger. There we go. Notice how my heat goes up. I'm gonna fire a heat sink to cool myself down again. There you go. We got through the first pulse successfully without too much hassle. We're gonna continue to fly in towards that glowing cloud there. In a minute, you should begin to see asteroids showing up. If they do, that means you're on the right track. There's the asteroids, and now you see the second pulse begin to charge up. So get ready again. Again, wait for the pulse to activate. There it is, activating. And we avoided the second pulse successfully as well. So now we should be safe. And as you're heading through these asteroids, you'll begin to see something rather massive show up here on inside the cloud. And you'll also notice that the caustic effects are beginning to stop. So from this point on, we are relatively safe. Now that we are this close, we are beginning to get into the point where they're beginning to patrol, and we're going to be trying to stay hidden here. So at this point, I like to go silent running and activate that. We are going to begin to heat up, but we still should have plenty of heat sinks to keep ourselves cool. And I can also now safely swap over to my second fire group, so I have the pulse laser and the collector. And as a noob, I didn't bring collector limpet, so we're going to have to synthesize some. Okay, now that we are close to the structure, we can begin to use our laser to keep ourselves cool, and we can deactivate silent running. And now we're gonna keep using the laser here by shooting the structure to cool ourselves down. And as long as we stay cold, they shouldn't attack us. We go and look to our control panels. You can see all the dual turrets. The first one you will see is on the side of the structure. You'll find these launch tubes. They're kind of on the side, hidden in between the arms of the structure. It looks like a massive Thargoid. So in between the leaves, and you will see all these glowing patches. These, if you move close to these, you will see they will show up here. There they are, launch tube, membrane, residue. So open our cargo hatch. Let's look at it here on our radar. And let's begin to shoot it. We can also launch a collector. And as we're shooting this patch, there we go, materials will begin to pop out of it. And there are more patches around here, as you can see. The material showing up is called facing membrane residue. And that is the first material that we can go and collect from in here. The next material we're going to be looking for is around these here. You can see there's these like small like hills, basically, that has this like opening in them here. And you can actually see the opening. That's a heat vent. Be careful not to be too close to those, as they generate a lot of heat, funnily enough. And we don't want to get hot, because we want to be cold, because if we get hot, we get spotted. And that's bad. But if you move close to these heat vents, on the side of them, we should be able to find heat vent aberrations. Some of them will be inside, but you can see here some of the materials will also be outside. I recommend the ones inside, just ignore them. They're a bit of a pain to collect. But these here on the outside, you can shoot those in a similar fashion as you could with the others. And there you go, materials pop out. The material to pop out is called Heat Exposure Specimen. And again, we don't know what these materials are for. All we know is that they're likely going to have a use for probably unlocking some new anti-Xeno modules in the future. And the heat vents are kind of spread out all over the place. They are on the top side of it. If you're in doubt, the top side is where you have this massive hill at the center. We go out here, you can see you have this massive opening where the fly Thargoids in and out of, like the main entrance. It's on that side of the craft here, or the station, where you will find these heat vents. Now the last material we're going to be looking for is not really in any specific location like the two others. They're more like spread out all over the place. So you can either just fly low over the area, or if you do like I do here, fly with night vision, you should be able to spot them before the radar does. So there you see a turret, but do you see that little patch there right next to the turret? That's what we're looking for. Just gonna cool down so the turret doesn't spot me. It's very stupid. I'll get very close to this. There we go, now we can target it. What we have here is called a chorus hull surface. And if we shoot the chorus hull surface, you guessed it, material comes out. And the material that spawns from this one is called Hardened surface fragment. Now again, we don't know what they're for, but assumption is it's gonna be some kind of Thargoid, just like we have Guardian equipment, is likely gonna be some kind of Thargoid armor we can fit. And there's a lot of speculations floating around. We don't know, but for now, it's collectible, so I want it. While you are in here, I do recommend you take a look around, and it is quite an awesome place. Also, disable your night vision and just take a look around, because it's very pretty, it's very atmospheric in here. There we go, safely back on the fleet carrier with a successful increase of new random Thargoid materials that we don't know what to do with. But I'm sure in a future patch, Frontier's gonna have something in store for us to use those materials for, so I just wanted to stock them up right now so that when that new content comes out, then I know that I have the materials I need to unlock it. Hope you found the guide useful. If you did, give a like, subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you guys in space.